Hello folks, Gordon here, hope all is well with you. And this video I've called the Content Creation Triple Whammy. The Content Creation Triple Whammy. How to get 3 times the bang for your buck for every piece of content you create. Just looking at my screen on my phone, and there's a sort of dark bit, a sort of vignette around the edge. I don't know if that comes across on the on where you're seeing it, but anyway, caught my attention. Might have to deal with that. I hope there's not something on the camera. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, the content creation triple whammy. Because there's a saying that content is king. You might be creating content because you're selling something online, and this also works if you're just creating content for the fun of it, for the hell of it. Why not? I like creating content. Content creation is easy for me, and in fact, it's fun for me. And if you're creating content around something that you enjoy and it's fun doing it, there's no problem. But the technique still works, but it works particularly well for people who don't enjoy creating content but are trying to sell something online. Now, if you're trying to sell something online and you don't enjoy creating content, it can be a problem because you need to create content. It's all about content consumption and getting people to know, like and trust you, because that is a marketing saying which has value, doesn't it? We buy from people that we know, like and trust. If someone is offering something and you don't know them, and someone is offering something the same and you know, like and trust that person, which one are you more likely to go with? That's the theory behind that. And content helps you create that know, like and trust factor. So when I'm talking about a triple whammy, getting 3 times the bang for your buck for every piece of content you create, I'm not talking about sharing that content across lots of different platforms. Now, if you are on lots of different platforms, you should be sharing it on all of those different platforms, yes, but this technique, this triple whammy, also works for people who only focus on one platform. And there's a debate about whether you should be across all the different platforms or whether you should focus on just one platform. So this content, Jill is saying hello. Hello, Jill. This technique works if you just focus on one platform. I'm also not talking about reposting content. Again, if you create content regularly and you're into content creation and posting, you should be reposting. I'm not saying don't repost. You absolutely should repost, because once you create a bit of content, that is an asset. And a lot of people create content, so they create an asset and then just ignore it. Never do anything with it again. Never go back to it. Never repost it. That's what a waste. You've got this asset. You should absolutely be reposting content. So I'm not talking about that, although you should be doing it. So if I'm not talking about sharing across different platforms, which you should be doing, and I'm not talking about reposting content, which you should be doing, what am I talking about with my triple whammy then? What am I talking about? Written content, video content, image content? Well, the answer is actually all 3 of them. That's the triple whammy that I'm talking about, that I don't see enough people using. And again, it's talking about leveraging the content once you create it. Because if you've put thought into it and your personality into it and you've created the asset, use it. Pull the levers to get the leverage as much as you can out of it. So what I'm talking about is when you create content, if you create it in video form, which obviously this is, then create it in a written post and then create it in an image post as well. Now, before the videos came along and the ease of doing video, which is a staggering abundance of opportunity, Jill's saying I don't do this enough. No one does it enough, really, Jill, I think. I mean, I create a lot of content, so I don't have to do this because I create enough ongoing new content. But it still works. I still do it. because it's such a powerful technique. So before the ease of videos came along, it was all about the written articles for me. I love writing, and I write in a conversational style, which is what I recommend anyone should do. Write as if you're talking. You're not writing an essay, you're not writing an exam, you're not writing for a newspaper. You need to be writing in the same way that you talk. And a tip for that in itself is that you can talk out loud when you're writing. Imagine that you're talking the content to someone and then write it down. And once you get used to doing that, actually, you'll find that the words come out quicker than you can type them. You won't have trouble writing. You won't be thinking, right, what am I going to put in the next sentence? Because you don't think that when you talk, do you? Once you get used to that technique, talking out loud, your content, I'm telling you, the words will come quicker than you'll be able to type to keep up with them. And then when you've done that, so you might write first. When you've done that, you can then create it into a video, can't you? And you're going to know what you're going to talk about because you've already written it, and you've already written it in a conversational style. So you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to start again. It's the same content. And it works in the opposite direction. If you create video, which I love doing, again, as you may have noticed, I got out of the habit of it. But I love creating video because, you know, I said your fingers won't be able to keep up with the words. Well, when you're doing video, you don't have to worry about your fingers having to keep up. You can just let the words come out and don't have to worry about all that. So I prefer video. And also, people get to see you. They get to see your body movements and your facial expressions. So they get more of you when they're watching a video than they do from reading content. So when you've done a video, if video is the way you do it first, then create it as a written piece. Jill, I love this. It's really engaging. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that. And when you're doing it as a written piece, after doing it as a video piece, guess what? The content is already there. You're not staring at a blank bit of paper or a blank screen. You already know exactly what you're going to write because you've written it down. And in fact, you'll be making yourself smile as you write, trying to keep up with yourself and trying to get down everything that you spoke about. And of course, if you forget, you know, hang on, what did I say next? You go back and rewatch your own video. And then when you've done the video, and then when you've done a written piece of content, you can create an image piece of content about it. Now, one of the things I used to do when I first started was my quote images. I talk about my quote images a lot. For example, here's one from my card pack. I'm going to turn the card around because I'm using the selfie camera. That's a photo that I took down at the beach at the sunset in Kent. What if life sales were rigged in your favour? Now, I love my quote images because you can get a pithy little quote on there on an image that I've created. Now, as it happens with those, I turn them into a card pack, but you don't have to. You can just use quote images to share on social media. So when you've created a quote image like that one, what if life sales were rigged in your favour? I would then write an article about that, saying, in this case, the content would be, it's easy for us to say, it never works for me, life's always rigged against me, my friends, my family, the government, social media, everything's rigged against me. Well, hang on. What if, instead of thinking that, you think that life was rigged in your favour? If the sales were rigged in your favour? Because if you think that life is rigged in your favour, you'll talk to yourself as if life was rigged in your favour. You'll act as if life was rigged in your favour. And the results will start to show that life is rigged in your favour. So that's just a little example of me coming up with content from one quote image. So you can either use a quote image as the generator starting point of your content, or if you don't want to do that at all, that's okay, and your video is created, so your content is created initially on video or initially from an article, then you can create an image, and you can do this on Canva, or even, well, you can do it just on a Facebook post, I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm going to say a square, but we all know what a square looks like. But it's good for Instagram. You can create a square image with a coloured background, and all you do is you put the title of your content on that image. And then you can put as a little subheading in little smaller words, click to read. So that's your image. Just post that if you want. The title of the article, click to read, on a coloured background. That's it. And the more you do of these, you can use different colour backgrounds and different colours for the text. Post that on Instagram. Post that on Facebook. Post that on LinkedIn. Or again, if you just use one social media channel, just post it on that social media channel. And then in the description, you can post the written content, can't you? On Facebook, you'll be able to get the whole article in there. On LinkedIn, you'll be able to get the whole article in there. On Instagram, you'll be able to get the whole article in there. So someone's seen the image, think, oh, that's interesting. What's Gordon or what's so-and-so got to say about that? I'm going to click on it because it's said click here to read in the image. They click on it and then they're going to get to the written content in the description. That's from the same content you've already created. Now you might be thinking, well, why would I do that? What's the point in creating 3 versions of the same content? Now, that's a reasonable argument. You could just post one piece a day and not bother doing it 3 times. But the benefit of doing it 3 times, the triple whammy of doing it 3 times is, firstly, you don't then have to come up with 3 different pieces of content. You're only using one. And secondly, it's not the same piece of content in the mind of A, the social media algorithms, and B, the people who are reading your content. Because some people prefer video, some people prefer reading, some people will prefer to see it in an image. Some people might like to see it and might laugh and giggle and smile at you if they do see it. If they see the same content all 3 times. Don't worry about that. Hardly any... Jill, here we go. Not everyone sees everything. There you go. The social media algorithms. The percentage of people on social media maybe following you or connections or friends who will see your content is tiny. So if you post it 3 times instead of once, you are pretty much guaranteeing, you're tripling the amount of people who are going to see your content. So it might only be a dribble of people who see it if you post it once. If you post it the second time, you're going to get 2 dribbles, aren't you? If you see it the 3rd time, you're going to get 3 dribbles. 3 dribbles of people seeing your content is better than 1 dribble of seeing your content, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. And you're not posting the same article 3 times. You're not posting the same image 3 times. Like, you can do this in a day. You can post the same content 3 times in a day if you use this triple whammy. Just 3 different formats of exactly the same content. And the social media algorithms. People are online at different times. Sometimes social media prefers to promote the images. Sometimes social media prefers video. Sometimes social media might prefer a long-term, long-form written content, i.e. an article. That's not the only 3 ways that you can repurpose content, by the way, of course. If you happen to have a blog or a website, whack it on there, of course. If you happen to have an email list and you send out emails, whack it in an email, of course. But you don't need a blog, you don't need a website, you don't need an email. All this kind of stuff, excuse me, can be done just with social media. And it can be done, as it happens, just on one social media channel. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to create content, particularly if you're going to be trying to sell something online, you're going to have to creating content. Don't just do it once. Don't just create that asset and leave it when you could be using the exact same asset to get 3 times the benefit. So there we go. I do try and keep my content to about 10 minutes on my live videos. I failed this time already because I was getting, oh dear, excuse me, I was getting excited. But it's a powerful point. Now, what I'm going to do today on social media, it's going to be a busy day for me because I'm going to try and do this on LinkedIn and Facebook, is I'm going to practice what I preach. Jill is saying thank you. Thank you, Jill. Hope you enjoyed that tip. I'm going to practice what I preach today, so you might see me post this content 3 times on Facebook today. If you're on LinkedIn, you might see me post it 3 times on LinkedIn. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, by the way, go over and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm delving my toes, dipping my fingers back into the LinkedIn world again at the moment as well. And in fact, I spoke about a triple whammy. I'm going to be posting it 4 times. So there's going to be a little sneaky 4th one. See if you can spot what the 4th one is that I've kind of mentioned it, but I haven't mentioned it specifically. There is a 4th way that you can share the exact same content. Okay. Jill is saying, yeah, go you. But that's my plan. Not all plans work out, but should do. No reason why I can't. Well, I've got to get it done. It's a Eurovision semi-final tonight. That's 2 hours of my life that I won't get back. So I've got to get it done before 8 o'clock probably at the earliest. Okay, signing off for now. Let me know what you think about that content creation triple whammy. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below wherever you happen to be seeing this video. Signing off for now. Wishing you as ever health and happiness, and I'll speak to you again soon.